We have a client example of a lady who came to us who was recommended because she was newly divorced and her ex-husband handled all of the finances. Tracy, how many times do you see that?
Oh my God. I see that in the majority of cases because most women turn everything over to their husbands and they have no idea what's going on.
Okay, listen, folks, we're talking about when you're in a family, everybody has their own thing. All right. So they have this strategy, they have their way of doing things, they have this memory of what they're doing. And so what happens is it's like losing half your brain when there is a loss in the family. It could be through death, it could be through a divorce, but whatever is going on, that was your link to whatever it is that they had that expertise in. So it was yours through family. And now it is not yours because now it's lost. So here's what we're talking about. So they came to me and said, Don, this lady is afraid she will not be able to provide for her two children a home that they can be proud of and live in. She didn't want to be in an apartment. She didn't want to go from her house to an apartment because of losing a husband through divorce. So when they came to me, she said, well, let's take a look at her situation. And we plugged it into our system. And this is what we came up with. This lady was able to get a mortgage for $156,000. That was before everything started blowing up. That house is worth $300,000 now. Okay. That house that was $156,000 then is worth $300,000 now. So she's even more happy. I haven't talked to her lately, but I'm sure if she saw me, she would give me a big old hug and say, listen, I didn't think I was going to be able to do it, but here's what happened. So what we showed her is in 5 years, this is what amortization does to this loan. $156,000 at 4% interest. In 5 years, she would have paid this loan down by $14,949.52. Okay. By making her payments on time every single month, she would have paid it down by $14,949. But the interest cost on this loan at this point in just 5 years is $29,879.48. Folks, this lady would have been working so hard to provide for her family. I just need to know from anyone on the stage in the audience, how fair is it that she works hard to pay this loan down by $14,900, but the bank gets to charge her $29,879.48 for the privilege of paying them back? That
sounds like a payday loan.
Criminal.
That is not right. And this is what's been going on for the last 87 years. Since 1934, this system has been in place. And do you know what else is going on since 1934? How the banks are doing this is not taught at any level of financial education. It's not taught. Your realtor doesn't know it. Your financial planner doesn't know it. Your CPA does not know it because it's not taught in their classes how loans actually work. How is it that this is left out of their education, how amortization actually works, how mortgages work, how loans work? A person who sells loans for a living, how in the world can this be left out of their education? I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I'm at a loss for words and trying to understand how this could be left out of our education. The most ubiquitous financial tool on the planet, the interest-bearing loan. All of us use it in one form or another, and none of us have been educated on how it works. Come on, folks. So here we got $29,000 in interest. So in the first 5 years, this lady would have paid out $44,829, and only $14,000, less than $15,000, she would have added to her equity. She would have paid the loan down by less than $15,000, but she would have paid out $44,008. How fair is that? So here's the reason why, folks. Her 4% mortgage really means that the bank wants 71% of what she borrowed in the form of interest. Let me tell you this way. If her loan was just $100,000 for 30 years at 4%, here's how much interest the bank would want on a $100,000 mortgage. They would want $71,870 in interest on a $100,000 loan. One more time, on a $100,000 loan at 4%, the bank would want $71,870 in interest on a $100,000 loan. Folks, how in the world is that 4%? How in the world is that 4%? How do they do that? Well, listen, maybe on another broadcast, we can get into the nitty gritty as how they actually do that. But listen, we're going to be talking about what she was able to do instead. So how much interest did the bank want on her mortgage of $156,500? Do you see this over here on the left side of the screen? $112,477.46 interest over 30 years on this loan. All right. So what we want you to see is that this thing is not right. All right. We need to understand it. And guess what? Once we learn how to read an amortization schedule, we're going to get into that. But do you realize that if you learn how to read this thing right, you can save money at the same rate that the bank is charging you? What? If they're charging 75% more interest than you need to pay, by understanding how an amortization schedule works, you can cut your interest cost by 75% using your current budget. You don't need more money to get out of debt, folks. All we need is to learn how to pay less interest by learning the rules to the game.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.